Hi everyone, we've reached the last chapter of the book. So today I'm going to read you half of chapter 15. The last chapter of George's Marvellous Medicine. Goodbye, Grandma. There's still something you've left out, Mr. Cranky said. I can't think what it would be, George said. Give it up, Mrs. Cranky said. Pack it in, you'll never get it right. Mr. Cranky looked very forlorn. George looked pretty fed up too. He was still kneeling on the ground with a spoon in one hand and a cupful of medicine in the other. The ridiculous tiny brown hen was walking slowly away. At that point, Grandma came striding into the yard. From her enormous height, she glared down at the three people below her, and she shouted, "What's going on around here? Why hasn't anyone brought me my morning cup of tea? It's bad enough having to sleep in the yard with the rats and mice, but I'll be blowed if I'm going to starve as well. No tea, no eggs and bacon, no buttered toast." "I'm sorry, Mother," Mrs. Cranky said. "We've been terribly busy. I'll get you something right away." "Let George get it, lazy little brute," Grandma shouted. Just then the old woman spotted the cup in George's hand, and she bent down and peered into it. She saw that it was full of brown liquid. Sorry, it's a bit windy. It looked very much like tea. "Ho ho!" she cried. "Ha ha! So that's your little game, is it? You look after yourself all right, don't you? You make quite sure you've got a nice cup of morning tea, but you didn't think to bring one to your poor old Grandma. I always knew you were a selfish pig." "No, Grandma," George said. "This isn't—" "Don't lie to me, boy," the enormous old hag shouted. "Pass it up here this minute." "No," cried Mrs. Cranky. "No, Mother, don't. That's not for you." "Now you're against me too," shouted Grandma. "My own daughter trying to stop me having my breakfast. Trying to starve me out." Mr. Cranky looked up at the horrid old woman and he smiled sweetly. "Of course it's for you, Grandma," he said. "You take it and drink it while it's nice and hot." "Don't think I won't," Grandma said, bending down from her great height and reaching out a huge horny hand for the cup. "Hand it over, George." "No, no, Grandma," George cried out, pulling the cup away. "You mustn't. You're not to have it." "Give it to me, boy," yelled Grandma. "Don't!" cried Mrs. Cranky. "That's George's marvellous—" "Everything's George's round here," shouted Grandma. "George is this, George is that. I'm fed up with it." She snatched the cup out of little George's hand and carried it high up out of reach. "Drink it up, Grandma," Mr. Cranky said, grinning hugely. "Lovely tea." "No!" the other two cried. "No, no, no!" But it was too late. The ancient beanpole had already put the cup to her lips, and in one gulp she swallowed everything that was in it. "Mother!" wailed Mrs. Cranky. "You've just drunk 50 doses of George's Marvellous Medicine number 4, and look what one tiny spoonful did that little old brown hen." But Grandma didn't even hear her. Great clouds of steam were already pouring out of her mouth, and she was beginning to whistle. "This is going to be interesting," Mr. Cranky said, still grinning. Oh my goodness, I wonder what's going to happen. Mrs. Cass is going to finish off chapter 15 for you. Bye, see you all soon.